All right, so it's hard to get into the Christmas spirit here in Florida with it being 80 degrees outside. It's a little chilly in the morning, but not so much. So I decided I'm going to paint a Christmas ornament. Not just any Christmas ornament, but a very miniature ornament on very tiny paper. This is scrap paper that I have, which nothing is less intimidating than a very tiny piece of paper, very tiny painting. So it's going to be fun. So the first thing I'm going to do is trace a circle on the piece of paper. You can use any household item. Like in my case, I have a sippy cup, which is a little too big. So I'm going with the Aveeno container. And I'm just going to use a very light pencil and go around very lightly. You don't want the pencil to really show. It's going to be hidden with paint, but that's where we go light. So now that I have my circle, I'm going to take a number 8, just a pretty inexpensive Master's Touch brush. I'm going to get my entire inside of my circle wet. This approach is called wet on wet. So I'm using clear water to saturate my circle, and you will see why. Pretty good amount of water, and you want to go right up to the edge of the pencil. Okay, and now that it's wet, we are going to put some paint on it. You can see it looks a little gray. It's because my brush was kind of dirty from the painting I did yesterday, but that's okay. I'm going to use I don't know if you can see it, but I have my handy dandy palette. I have my little cheat sheet. I'm gonna do a gray paint. You can see that. And I'm going to go around the edge. I got the brush lightly wet and pretty heavily saturated in paint, and I'm just gonna gently go to the edge and watch that move to where I want it to go. And with the wet on wet approach, that is how you get that movement and kind of that cloudy look. This is great for making like a snowy look. It's good for using to make water. It's great for moons, flowers. And I'm just gonna bring it in a little bit more. Bring it in. Watch it go. And what this does is it kind of gives it that spherical look. Even though it's not, kind of gives it that 3D look. And now I'm just gonna clean my brush and just go over it with clear water a little bit, and because that's just to kind of blend it. Okay. So now we have a sphere. That's my 2-year-old in the background. I'm sorry. Now I'm going to take a smaller brush, a number 2. Again, this is just an inexpensive brush that I got at Hobby Lobby. I seem to like them a lot better than the expensive brushes, so that's good. I'm going to go with a... Sorry, my husband took my tripod, so I'm using my kid's fire truck to hold up the phone, so I can't get a good shot. But I'm going to put some green on here. And it's going to be kind of a watered down green to do some, we're going to do some trees. And because they're in the distance, we want them to look kind of cloudy. Not cloudy, like faded. You want to just do, and I just... And watch how the water kind of carries it where you want it to go. Those are going to be in the background. Really sorry about the noise. Might. Alright. And so these are in the foreground, so I want them to look kind of faded. And it's perfect because the wet on wet approach is how you get that look. Alright. Now I'm going to do a row closer to myself, so I'm gonna make the paint more saturated with paint and less water, and I'm gonna bring these up front. So it's not quite dark enough, so I'm gonna go back over. Da da da. Maybe put one right here. I sound like that Bob guy. All else fails. Make another tree. I forgot his name. Okay. How's that? Okay, so this is kind of like a wintry Wonderland scene. I'm gonna, as I get closer to the front, I'm just adding more and more paint and less water so that it gives the impression that the one's closest to you. It's, what's the word? Depth. It's giving it depth. Okay. And you just lightly, I mean, it really doesn't have to be perfect. You're just kind of making a tree. These are, I guess, the Christmas trees. And okay. I feel more into Christmas already. And this is really relaxing. This is actually, despite the screaming toddler, he's actually being really good. He hasn't been feeling well, but despite him in the background, this is really relaxing. And the new baby, Julian, is sleeping. So this is something you can do pretty quick. You saw that took about 5 minutes. And what do you think? One more? Or are we good? Maybe one more right here. So the idea is, just to recap, it's a wet on wet, so you want to wet your background. Then while the paper is still wet, you do your circle, then do some foreground trees, and then slowly add more paint, less water to your brush to do the front trees. And then naturally the paper has started to dry. So at this point, I mean, it's pretty dry, so they're going to be more detail. Anytime you take a paintbrush and go on completely dry paper, you're going to get, I'll do it on this little scrap, you're going to get just a clean line. I mean, it's going to be like that. But if you went onto wet paper, that's how you get that mystical, more watercolor look. So I might go back over it once it's completely dry and add some stars using white gouache. I don't even know how it's pronounced. It's this white paint that you can use for watercolors. I don't know if it's dry enough yet, but okay. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. It is an ornament. I know I said it's an ornament. It's kind of looking more like a snow globe, so maybe I'll add a hook and make it look like an ornament, or maybe I'll just commit to the snow globe, but we will see. And here's my son. Hello. Thanks for watching.